Well, hello and welcome to our program tonight. It is so good to have you with us. Last week we had a good crowd. Had 150, not a record, but 150, and we had 1,026 non-concurrents. So good report there. We're just excited to have the Arizona Wildflowers again with us tonight. About the middle of the program, they're going to be back with another song for us, and we're looking forward to that. I mentioned it last week. I don't know how your weather is where you are, but our weather, we had a little bit of a cool spell there, but no, I don't think it got into the freezing temps, but it was chilly. But it was still beautiful. I mean, we've been working outside, and I think we're going to probably plant our garden maybe next week after next. But been having a good time with that. I hope all of you are well and happy, but for those of you that are not, if you're struggling with something, whether it's financial or physical or mental or whatever, we just send our hugs and prayers to you and hope you get to feeling better. And just hang on. It's always darkest just before the dawn, one day at a time. But something else I want to mention too, our request show. Get your request in and be sure that you choose from, there's a little thing in the Show More section, gives you a complete list of songs that are available to choose from. So get your request in. Week after next will be our request show. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into some music. For our first song tonight, I'm going to do a song that was written by Ira and Charlie Louvin. They were known as the Louvin brothers, and they were real popular back in the 50s, early 60s. They had several hits. They were ahead of the Everly Brothers by a few years, but they were some of that early sibling harmony. And it was said that Ira always, well, not always, but most of the time, Ira sang the high part. But they said they had the unique ability that any time they could switch parts and you really couldn't tell that it had happened. So they both could sing either part. But for whatever reason, Ira always took the tenor and Charlie took the lower part. And their name was actually Loudermilk. And they were cousins of John D. Loudermilk, who was Hall of Fame songwriter in the 50s and 60s. And they broke up in the early 60s because one of the brothers had a drinking problem and the other one just finally got to where he couldn't deal with it, so they went their separate ways. But unfortunately, a couple of years later, Ira was in a tragic car accident, and he was killed instantly. A driver hit him head on, he and his wife, and they were killed instantly. They were coming back from a gig one night from playing, and so there was a little tragedy involved with them. But they were, like I said, they were one of the early brother groups, and people loved them. But they wrote a lot of their own songs, and they wrote this song, and we're going to do it for you tonight. It's called "Keep Your Eyes on Jesus."
Eyes on Jesus when the tidal waves of trouble round you roll. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He will calm the storms of life that toss your soul. Living in a world that's full of sorrows, we are tried and tempted every day, knowing not the secrets of tomorrow. We find rescue when we watch and pray. Keep your eyes on Jesus when the tidal waves of trouble round you roll. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He will calm the storms of life that toss your soul. When Peter saw him walking on the water, said, Savior, let me come to thee. But when he took his eyes off Jesus, then he started sinking in the sea. Keep your eyes on Jesus when the tidal waves of trouble round you roll. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He will calm the storms of life that toss your soul. Tidal waves of trouble round you roll. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He will calm the storms of life that toss your soul. Keep your eyes on Jesus when the tidal waves of trouble round you roll. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He will calm the storms of life that toss your soul. Jesus calms the storms of life that toss your soul.
James Acuff was a songwriter from Texas. He was born in 1964 and lived to 1937. At the turn of the century, in 1906, we have what he wrote several gospel songs. It was hard to find a lot about him. We know he's from Texas. We know he was a real well-known singer in the Texas area among the Church of Christ congregation. And he worked with the Firm Foundation Company in Austin, compiling hymnals. Couldn't find a picture of him, so there's just not a lot known about him. But anyway, in 1906, he put this song out, and it was his most popular song of all the songs he had written. And it's called Just Over in the Glory Land.
I've a home prepared where the saints abide, just over in the glory land. And I long to be by my Savior's side, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, I'll join, yes, join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, there with, yes, with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. I am on my way to those mansions fair, just over in the glory land. There to sing God's praise and His glory share, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, I'll join, yes, join the happy angel band, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, there with, yes, with the mighty host I'll stand, just over in the glory land. That happy throng I will shout and sing, just over in the glory land. Glad hosannas to Christ the Lord and King, just over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, I'll join, yes, join the
The next song I'm going to do for you tonight was written by Bob Ferguson, written in 1958. He said he was a producer. He was a Nashville producer, and he produced documentaries and different types of films. And he had just finished a 13-film series on wildlife. And he said he was so elated to be done with that project. For whatever reason, it inspired him to write Wings of a Dove. I suppose because he'd been working on wildlife films. But anyway, this song just went on to become one of the most popular country songs. And this is the ironic thing. When Ferlin Husky wanted to do the song, his producers said, yeah, that's a little too close to the gospel, you know. And turns out he stood his ground and he did it anyway. And it became his last #1 song. So he was right to think that. And I can assure you it's been one of my most popular songs for a long time now. It gets a ton of views on YouTube. And Bob Ferguson even got a thing from, I believe it was BMI, one of the licensing companies gave him an award for getting 1 million airplays in 1987. Of course, by that time it had had plenty of years to get those airplays. But anyway, it just a very popular song, and people love this song. So y'all sing along with me. On the Wings of a Dove.
On the wings of a snow-white dove, he sends his pure, sweet love, a sign from above. On the wings of a dove, when troubles surround us, when evils come, the body grows weak, the spirit grows numb. When these things beset us, he doesn't forget us. He sends down his love on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a snow-white dove. He sends his pure, sweet love, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove, wings of a dove. When Noah had drifted on the flood many days, he searched for land in various ways. Troubles he had some, but wasn't forgotten. God sent down his love on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a snow-white dove. He sends his pure, sweet love, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a dove. When Jesus went down to the waters that day, he was baptized in the usual way. When it was done, God blessed his son. He sent down his love, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a snow-white dove. He sends his pure, sweet love, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a snow-white dove. He sends his pure, sweet love, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of a dove, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove, on the wings of up above.
A couple of months ago, I was perusing some of the social media sites, and I came across this video of these three little ladies. Turns out they're the Arizona wildflowers. So I got in touch with their mom, and I was interested in getting them on the program. And sure enough, we were able to work it out, and they were able to send me the files that I needed to put them on the show. So about a month ago, we had them on the show for the first time, and I've just been anxious to get them on for a second time. So we've got them with us tonight. Renelle, Bree, and Aspen. They range in age from 9 to 12, and they've all won fiddle championships. And of course, they don't all play fiddle in the group, but they're all multi-talented little ladies. They sing harmony. I love their harmony. I heard them singing Washed in the Blood, and I just fell in love right there. I said, I got to have them on the program if there's any way. So it worked out where we could. So tonight we're going to have them on again, and we're going to feature them, the Arizona Wildflowers, doing the Little Mountain Church.
1, 2, 3. Yesterday, where friends and family gather for the Lord, wearing no fashion preacher jock straight and narrow way. What few coins congregation could afford. Dressed in all our Sunday best, sad and we saw it all. I remember how our voices fill the air. How long we sang the last day till our dress high spread on now. When the rules called down to Rosie there. Looking back now, that little mountain church has become my life's cornerstone. It was there in that little mountain church house I first heard the words that makes my life go on. And the morning Sunday singing and getting all around. Many were the souls that were revived. Now our brothers and sisters have gone to glory land, slipping in peace in the victorious vine. Looking back now, that little mountain church house has become my life's cornerstone. It was there in that little mountain church house I first learned the words to base my life upon. Looking back now, that little mountain church house has become my life's cornerstone. It was there in that little mountain church house I first heard the words to base my life upon.
Tonight on our philosophizing segment, I want us to read some scripture from Luke, the 6th chapter. Luke is the chapter where he talks about the Beatitudes. He talks about love your enemy in verse 27. That's the chapter that tells us not to judge each other, that we will get the same judgment we judge others with. Talks about the blind leading the blind. But the part that I want to dwell on tonight is the 43rd. This is why we didn't read the whole chapter. We'd be here a while. This is the 43rd verse of Luke 6. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit? For every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasures of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasures of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. Think about that a minute. I've often said that for me, Christianity is a condition of the heart. It's not magic. It's not hocus pocus. It's not this and that. A lot of people assign to it, and that's their right to do so if that's what they believe. I believe it is a practical way for us to live together, a practical way for us to learn to love each other, for us to learn to love ourselves. You know, you got to take care of yourself as well as others. Now, not to the point of selfishness, you know, but to the point of responsibility. We're to take care of our business so that others don't have to do it for us. But there are extenuating circumstances in life that sometime we need help or someone else needs help. And that's where us helping each other comes in. So the compassion that you grow in your heart as you grow as a Christian, that becomes what you are. That is your fruit. Let me read this again. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Now the heart can have evil in it. It can have good in it. So it's what comes from your heart that makes you what you are. And if we go to Galatians, the 7th verse of the 6th chapter of Galatians, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So can you see how these are connected? If you learn to sow good seeds, if you get the good things out of your heart and you grow good seeds and do good for people, they will benefit, but you will be blessed too. When we do things for others, doesn't it make you feel good to do something for somebody? I mean, it does me. And I feel bad if I hurt somebody's feelings. You know, so now that doesn't mean we have to be shy about everything. You know, there's some things you have to speak up on, some things you have to say. Those are judgment calls, and those are weird things. You know, I mean, every situation is different, so it calls for different things. That's why we have to study. If we have a knowledge base for us to do our thinking and our judging and the decisions that we come to, if it comes from a knowledge base that is good, we will likely do good things, you know. But anyway, remember, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. He knows what kind of fruit you're putting out. You know, if it's good fruit or if it's poison. You know, he knows. I mean, you can say whatever you want to. Whatever comes out of your mouth is just what you're saying. But what comes out of your heart is what you really are. So let's try to be more compassionate, more loving, and show more kindness, and be a little bit more tolerant of each other, even when we differ. You know, that's the hard part. Learn to differ somewhat amicably, you know. Don't lose your friendships over differences and things. But, you know, we do have to face, sometimes we do differ with people, and we have to deal with that. But be kind about it. You know, don't be hurtful. Don't call names. Show some reason why you think like you do. You know, that sort of thing. But anyway, again, let's try to be more kind, more compassionate, and have our heart putting out an abundance of good rather than evil. For our next song tonight, I'm going to do you a song that was written by Elisha Hoffman and Anthony Showalter. Showalter was a publisher and a teacher, and he wrote some composition books, some theory books, and what have you. And he wrote this song when he got letters from two of his students whose wife had passed away, and he was trying to write them something of a comforting nature. And he found a verse in Deuteronomy that mentioned the everlasting arms. And he said by the time he had written their letters, he had the verse and the tune. And then he got Hoffman to help him with the verses. And this song went on to be in movies, not the least of which was True Grit. It was used in TV things. The Simpsons had a version of it. Several, I don't remember all of them, but there was several TV shows that used it. Mahalia Jackson did a version of it. George Jones did a version. Twyla Paris did a version. And Alan Jackson in 2006 put out a hymn album called Precious Memories, and he put this on his album. Carol and Anita helped me do the background on this, and it's on my Gospel Ship album. And we're going to do it for you tonight. It's called Leaning on the Everlasting Arms.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how sweet to walk in this pilgrim way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the path grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on the everlasting arms.
The next song I'm going to do for you tonight comes from my How Beautiful Heaven Must Be album. It was written by Cordy Bridgewater and Andy Bland. Cordy wrote the words and Andy wrote the music. Andy was born in Dallas, Texas in 1874, and some few years later he and his family moved to Huntsville, Alabama. Well, Cordy Bridgewater was born in 1874, and she died in 1939. She was born in North Carolina, and she died in North Carolina, but somewhere around 1909, she and her husband, Albert Bridgewater, moved to Alabama, to Huntsville, near Huntsville, and they were farmers. So somehow, I don't know if it was through church or whatever, she and Andy were able to meet, and we don't know a lot about this song, but we think How Beautiful Heaven Must Be was written during this period of time, because that would have been the time that she would have been able to connect with Andy, who wrote the music to it. So, but anyway, I couldn't find pictures of either one of them. It was just one of those songs that wound up in collections of songs and became popular over time. But oddly enough, she and her husband at some point moved back. We're not sure exactly when it was, but they moved back to North Carolina, and they both passed away with just in months of each other from the flu. But that happened in 1939. But anyway, what a wonderful piece of work she wrote. Whatever it was, something spoke to me from this song, and it became the title song of my album. But it's a beautiful song. How Beautiful Heaven Must Be.
We read of a place that's called heaven. It's made for the pure and the free. These truths in God's Word He has given. How beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be, must be. Sweet home of the happy and free. Fair haven of rest for the weary. How beautiful heaven must be. Pure waters of life there are flowing, and all who drink may be free. Rare jewels of splendor are glowing. How beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be, must be. Sweet home of the happy and free. Fair haven of rest for the weary. How beautiful heaven must be. The angels so sweetly are singing up there by the beautiful sea. Sweet chords from their golden harps ringing. How beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be, must be. Sweet home of the happy and free. Fair haven of rest for the weary. How beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be. Oh, how beautiful heaven must be.
For our next song tonight, I'm going to do you a song that was written by a man named Charles Gabriel in 1890. Charles Gabriel was such a prolific writer that he wrote under many pseudonyms. He wrote over 7,000 pieces of work, some words in music, some words, just 7,000 pieces of anything in a lifetime is a lot. But he had many popular songs. One was Higher Ground. He wrote the words to His Eyes on the Sparrow. And he also wrote the words to this song. Jimmy Swaggart did a version of this song. The Old Time Gospel Quartet did a version of this song. And the bass singer for the Cathedrals, George Younce, did a version of this song. So we're going to do our version of it for you tonight. and it's called Send the Light.
There's a call comes ringing o'er the restless waves. Send the light, send the light. There are souls to rescue, there are souls to save. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. We have heard the Macedonian call today. Send the light, send the light, and a golden offering at the cross we lay. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let us pray that grace may everywhere abound. Send the light, send the light, and a Christ-like spirit everywhere be found. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let us not grow weary in the work of love. Send the light, send the light. Let us gather jewels for a crown above. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let it shine forevermore.
Right now, I just want to remind you about our website, www.birdyeomans.com. All my CDs are there. My double CDs are there. My songbook's there. There's a couple of specials that we have there. And just want to invite you to come by and take a look at it. If you have any questions, my wife Linda will be glad to help you. Her email address is linda@birdyeomans.com. And thank you so much for being a part of our program. And now we're just going to get you back to the musical portion of the show. My, how the time flies. I say this every week, but it just goes by so fast. It's come time for our last song tonight. And we're going to end up tonight with a song. This is a song about humility. Curtis Stewart wrote this in 1942. He was in World War II. And he said in a moment of humility, he was just telling God, you know, I don't expect a mansion. I don't, just let me be there. I just want a cabin in glory land, you know. And this song has it was just one of the more popular songs back in the mid 20th century. Hank Williams, I think, had the first real hit on the song. Bill Monroe, Stamps Baxter, the Lefevres, the Blackwood Brothers, Porter Wagner. A bunch of people recorded the song. In fact, it was in the top 10 Billboard charts in the pop and the sacred and the country categories. 3 different categories it made it into the top 10 by different artists. So the song was very popular, and I love the song. My wife and I have retired. We live in a cabin in the mountains. So I can just assure you, I'll be fine with the cabin, Lord. You know, I just want to shake your hand when I get there, you know. But anyway, we're gonna wind up this evening with a song that I love. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land.
Many years I've been looking for a place to call home, but I fail here to find it, so I must travel on. I don't care for fine mansions on earth's sinking sand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life, where it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Blessed Lord, I'm not asking to live in the mist, for I know I'm not worthy of such splendor as this. But I'm asking for mercy while humbly I stand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life, where it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. I have many dear loved ones who've gone on this way. On that great final morning, I'd love to hear them say, come and join in our singing and playing our band. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life, where it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life, where it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory
Thank you so much for being with us. I want to thank the Wildflowers and the Arizona Wildflowers. Go to their, I got a link below that tells, gives a link to their channel. Go to their channel and subscribe and give them a few likes, and let's help bump them up in the ratings on YouTube. They're just getting started, so they could use that help. So y'all go over and say hi to them and encourage them and that sort of stuff. But again, our prayers and hugs to all of you that are having problems of one kind or another. You know, I mean, it's starting to be pretty weather, and we want you to join us. We want everybody to be happy and safe. But I know that that's not reality for some. And so we send out our hugs and prayers to all of you who need a hug and a prayer tonight. And one more time before I go, if you're interested in any of our CDs or the book, go by our website, www.birdyeomans.com. All my CDs are there, my book's there, history is there. If you have any questions, my wife Linda will be glad to help you with that. Her email address is linda@birdyeomans.com. Thank you for being with us tonight. Be kind to each other this week. I love you. I'll see you next Friday night.
Without him I could do nothing. Without him I'd surely fail. Without him I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Without him I would be dying. Without him I'd be enslaved. Without him life would be hopeless. But with Jesus, thank God, I'm saved. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I don't turn him away. Oh, Jesus, my Jesus. Without him, how lost I would be. Without him, how lost I would be. Without him, how lost I